Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to my channel. If you are new, thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you subscribe. As for my fans and subscribers, thank you very much for your patronage. I really do appreciate it. Today's topic is People's Temple and the Jim Jones Show. Not much else I need to say. Let's get on with the video. And while your mind is on it, if you have not subscribed, why don't you go ahead and click that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any episodes. Even though Jim's travels took him away from People's Temple on many weekends, it was still very much the Jim Jones Show because he only trusted Marceline or Archie I. James to lead services, and his picture or favorite robe was displayed with tapes of previous sermons played. In fact, he was so obsessed with control, he would frequently call during the meetings and sometimes burst through the doors, telling his flock that he had risked life and limb to be with them. People's Temple basically had two types of members: those who hung on Jim's every word and those who believed in the mission. The latter group harbored occasional doubts. Yet even those who were uncomfortable with Jim's subterfuge, usually the veteran members, could not deny that Jim's questionable practices had brought in money for temple programs to reach out to the needy. And after all, that's what they were there for. With these funds, the church distributed clothing, fed the hungry, and cared for the sick, even when they couldn't pay. One program even sent students to college, covering books, tuition, and buying houses to renovate into dorms, even paying for meals so people could get out of the cycle of poverty. Some of these young people were the children of members, but some were also successful graduates of the temple's drug rehabilitation program. Even though the school was a community college, it still was not cheap, believe me. By this time, the temple was attracting dozens of prospective members per week, some drawn by the programs such as job training, while others were drawn by what they could do for others. Even though the temple was associated with the disciples of Christ in name, most long-term members recognized that this was just a front, a way to get tax exemption. Most of these members found it in poor taste, but again figured the end justified the means. Still, Jones had to file annual reports, and they had to be reasonably accurate because the regional office could always send someone to check the figures. So much of the temple's income was spent on its own outreach programs that only about 10% was forwarded to the denomination for costs. Yet, although the temple was finally on solid ground financially, Jones's demands on his members grew. Not only did the pastor want their money and their personal possessions, he also demanded their time. 19-year-old Terri Buford left her Pennsylvania home after her schizophrenic mother tried to kill her in 1971. She got a ride with a friend who was going to San Francisco but had nowhere to live when she arrived. After wandering California for a time, she reconnected with her friend who told her about Jim Jones up in Redwood Valley. Since nothing was keeping her in LA, she got a ride to Redwood Valley, where she stayed with the Mertles, who were members of People's Temple. After a few days, they began telling her about the church. The temple's stated goals appealed to Buford, like many before her, but she was not impressed with Jones. Yet she liked the friendliness and sense of belonging the temple gave her, so when the Mertles invited her to stay longer, she did. She even wrote to her family telling them where they could reach her, but she was disappointed when she did not get any letters back. It was only later that she learned that the Mertles had stolen all of her mail from her. Despite her feeling toward Jones, Buford kept attending services mostly because she enjoyed the camaraderie and because she felt obligated to the Mertles. Eventually, she changed her opinion of Jones. He seemed to know so much about her and her family that she hadn't told the Mertles. It wasn't until much later that she found out that the Mertles had stolen her mail, and this is how Jones knew so much about her and her family. Now, remember what I said. If you are in a group where the ends justify the means, you are in a cult. This isn't the only way to know you're in a cult. Due to this subterfuge, she thought Jim could read her mind, so she joined. Of course, Jones welcomed her and made her feel special. He also promised that she would never, ever be homeless again, and everything would be provided for her. She could even go back to college due to the college program. Because Buford wanted to earn her keep, good girl, she worked full-time for the temple as Tim Stone's secretary. Buford lived in Jones's home for a while, and it was quite crowded. And, of course, Jones always needed people to do the chores. These chores were done after regular work hours, so there was little to no sleep. Despite this, Jim assured followers that it was a privilege to exhaust themselves for the cause. Sleep deprivation is a common cult tactic, and even more so, saying it is a privilege. This is because sleep deprivation causes one to lose the mental faculty to make decisions. Naturalistic sleep deprivation experiments have shown that not only do people lose the ability to make decisions for themselves when sleep deprived, they will also eventually die. Buford's experience as a new member was only unique in that she was Stone's secretary. All other neophytes were given drudge work, and there was plenty to go around. They needed to be introduced to the frantic pace of the temple as soon as possible. This keeps them from thinking. Their lives were controlled and manipulated in every way, which explains why long-term members like the Myrtle saw nothing wrong with things like stealing mail. Of course, it doesn't excuse the actions, but they had already been brainwashed, so it does give somewhat understanding to why they would think this is not wrong. Well, friends, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, press the subscribe button, and if you want to know when I come out with new content, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. All social media links are in the description, along with the source that I used for this particular episode. If you think this is worth sharing, please share it. I would very much appreciate it. Keep learning and searching for truth. Here are a few videos from my library. If you have not watched them yet, go ahead and watch them and tell me what you think. And go ahead and leave a like or a dislike. and, all that good stuff. Thanks to my members you see on the screen. If you would like to join them, don't forget to hit the join button. There's also a join link in the description. Thank you and goodbye.